Hello and welcome to this episode of UMBC's Mic'd Up podcast. My name is Denise Cardona from the Office of Professional Programs, and I am here with a very special guest, Tchuissi from the UMBC Data Science graduate program. And I want to welcome you to the show, Tchuissi.
Thank you very much. I'm so glad to be here, and I'm excited to share my experiences with the Data Science UMBC program.
Excellent. So to get us started, can you tell us a little bit about your educational journey and maybe professional journey that you've taken so far that have landed you in this graduate program?
Sure. So I'm a French international student. I'm from Paris. Prior to UMBC, I was working for a French food and facility management company called Tchusso here in Maryland. I was a construction project manager in the facility management services. I have a master's degree in civil engineering back in Paris, and I also have an undergrad degree in mathematics. So I decided to join this master in data science because at my time at Sodexo, I was working on a benchmark and there was a lot of missing data. It was challenging, but exciting at the same time. And I decided to really sharpen my skills in data science to really understand the value of data and to unlock the value of data. So that's the reason why I changed my career to go back to school.
That is fantastic. You know, when we think about data, there's so much data out there in the world. And I would imagine as a person who is studying data science and somebody who's interested in it and somebody who deals with it on a professional basis, it can probably feel a little overwhelming when you think about all the data that's out there and how it has to be cataloged and organized so that it's usable. Because what's the point of having data if it's not usable, right?
Exactly. So that's the beauty of data. It's now there are a lot of data, but we need to be able to clean them, to explore them, and to try to see the value and the patterns with those data. So.
Absolutely. So why did you choose the data science program here at UMBC specifically?
So I'm living in Maryland, Montgomery County, and I was looking for a master program close to my place and that can be also affordable. And I was lucky enough to find that UMBC has also a campus at Cherry Grove, Rockville. So just 8 minutes by drive from my place. So it was the perfect combination with the location, the program, the affordability. So I applied for this program right away.
Convenience, when you're a working professional, because that's who our programs cater to, working professionals, when you are in that realm, that flexibility, that convenience factor is huge because you've got to keep that work-life balance in order to be able to feel, I think, empowered and successful as both a professional and a student. At least it's been my experience because I'm in a graduate program myself at UMBC, and I feel like that right there, that convenience factor of being able to drive to a campus that's close by, that's near where you maybe work or live, takes away a lot of the stresses that could be apparent if it wasn't as conveniently located.
Exactly, yeah, because sometimes it's evening classes. So after work, we should be able to, to stay focused for 2 hours and 40 minutes. So if we have to drive long hours in the traffic, it can be exhausting. So
now, speaking of that whole work-life balance, right? Because I think that that's on the minds of a lot of prospective students. At least I know for me, I was so worried about how am I going to maintain that work-life balance between working full-time and then really dedicating myself to my studies and being able to get the most out of it and really embrace that power of learning. How do you keep that work-life balance being a student?
So when I came here, I was working for a French food company, but when I applied for UMBC, I got a student visa. So now I am an international student. So there are a lot of working restrictions during the first year. So I'm not a full-time employee right now because now I am back to a student visa. But in terms of work-life balance, it's also a matter of trying to work my assignments when I am the most productive, and especially in the morning. So that's why last year I used to wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning to get the job done because that was the only moment where I can do everything that I wanted without being interrupted or disturbed. So
yeah, I think that's one of the skills that a graduate student learns pretty early on in their career as a graduate student is being able to do that, use those time management skills, because they are so critical when you're in graduate school, to be able to understand when you're most productive, understand that you have certain assignments and you just have to do the work. I mean, you have to set aside the time and sit down and put everything, all the other distractions aside and just do the work. And then when you do, right, you're empowered.
Exactly, because going back to school, it's a financial commitment. So being able to do my assignments, it's also part of my responsibility as an adult to stay engaged and to get my graduation. So it's important.
Absolutely. What did you expect to get out of the UMBC Data Science program?
Yeah. So what I expected from the UMBC Data Science program is to get a solid foundation in data science, because data science, it's a mix of mathematics, statistics, and computer science. So I really wanted to get solid foundations in those three areas to be competitive in the job market and to find a job as a data scientist later on. So I'm lucky. So for now, I am really satisfied with the program, with the UMBC Data Science program, because I was able to really improve my coding skills. So I remember 1 year ago, I didn't know how to code in Python. And the first semester was kind of challenging, but with time, now it's been a year now, so I can see the progression and the progress that I made. So I am really proud of myself, and I'm really happy to be enrolled in this UMBC Data Science program.
Building that skill set in something that maybe you weren't familiar with, or maybe you were, but you were out of it for a while. In terms of the learning strategies that the faculty, the instructors applied to your learning, could you talk a little bit about like how they made it possible for you to be able to learn that and grow in that? Was it the faculty? Was it your peer engagement? What was it about the assignments that you had to perform that helped you to get back in the groove, if you will, of using something like Python?
Sure. So I remember, one of my first course was a Python introduction, and the professor was really present for us. So he also organized some meetings on the weekends to help us with the homework. The good things is also that we have tutoring assistants that can help us with the assignments. So from Monday to Thursday, we can have a meeting with them, and they can help us with the assignments. So I was really fortunate enough to have tutoring assistants that helped me, and the professors who were able to be there on the weekend to help us. And it was a really great moment, because otherwise I don't know how I could make it. But those two supports were really important, and I'm really grateful for what the program at UMBC is providing and doing.
It's that whole sense of social presence and community building that a faculty member, an instructor creates within a course that helps us grow, I think, as students, because there are so many different backgrounds that come into a classroom, right? Like I'm sure with the peers that you study with, they come from all different types of backgrounds and different organizations. And so when you bring that kind of experience into the classroom, and then the instructors have that real world experience as well, that creates a rich, dynamic learning experience, because you're not just looking at the world through your own lens anymore. You're actually seeing it through other people's lenses.
Exactly. That's the beauty of having a diverse class, and it's really a really richful experience. So even in terms of team projects, so when we come from different backgrounds, sometimes we have someone who is a developer, so he has a good programming skills. Another one can be better at marketing. Another one can be better at being detail oriented. So this diversity is what makes a group more effective, and the experience really interesting for us.
What challenged or surprised you so far in the program?
Sure. So I joined the program during the pandemic. So it was in August 2020. And for a whole year, all the classes were virtual. So obviously it's challenging because sometimes so if we have any questions in terms of programming and coding, we can be like in the class with the professor or with other classmates that can help us. So having classes virtual can be convenient, but at the same time, it can be a challenge because we are alone with our computer, and when we have coding questions, it's there is no one to help us. So, and now that we are back in school, I can see the difference, and I can see the value of having in-person classes.
Yeah, I would imagine being in person when you're in a program like data science, where it's incredibly just come across some incredibly complex principles. And it brings me back to when I was an undergrad taking a pretty intensive mathematics class at the time. And I remember that frustration. It was a lab math. So that means that you were really on your own. It was really independent learning. And I had such a hard time grasping some of the concepts because I couldn't just have that immediacy of asking the professor or asking a peer. But then when it really would cement into my brain is when I would get together with a group of students and study together. And because sometimes it's just one little small piece of information, right? That once you figure that one little small piece of information out, everything else makes sense.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So when you were online though, when it was virtual, I'm curious, like, how did you get over that whole challenge? Did the professors or peers have discussion boards that would help you kind of outside of the classroom be able to ask these kinds of questions when you were stuck?
Yeah, so exactly. So as I mentioned earlier, whenever we have any questions, we can send an email to the professor, and some professors were able to meet with us on the weekend. And we can also when I found that other classmates were better at coding than me, I was sending them some emails to ask them more personal questions about the classes, and they can also help me out. And with my teammates as well, whenever I have any questions, they help me out. And I was able to leverage all my connections with UMBC to make the progress that I needed to succeed.
So can you talk about any kind of internship opportunities that you had while in the program?
Sure. So I was able to find a summer internship in a consulting firm. So I was interning as a data science consultant, where I was working on developing training materials in data science. I was also developing some technical interview questions for the firm as well. And it was such a great experience. And I was able to extend this summer internship as a part-time internship for the fall and full-time for the spring semester as well. And they also gave me a job offer. So it's a great experience, and I'm glad that I can have this year without that much stress to find a job. But yeah.
Oh, that's great. Congratulations. That is huge when you're actually in the program and you have that opportunity to be able to build on the skills that you're learning in the classroom and to be able to apply them to an internship or a work situation. That's really when I think it's really powerful at that point, because you're taking this theory and then you're applying it to the real world. And when you can do that, doesn't it cement it in your brain even better?
Exactly. And I think that's the goal of an internship, is to be able to apply of the theory that we learned during school, and to see if the industry is a good fit, and also to be able to apply all the things that I've learned during the year. So it's a good experience. And if I can have a job offer at the end, it's even better.
Even better. Absolutely. What did you enjoy most about being in the data science program at UMBC?
So what I enjoyed most about being at the UMBC Data Science program is the fact that all the professors are professionals and they can really bring this experience in their field, but also they have a really good technical skills. And sometimes they also organize some meetings with colleagues in different industries to guide us and to give us insights as to how it is to be a data science in this industry. And having these experiences what is really interesting.
What do you love most about the field of data science?
I love the field of data science because I always loved mathematics. And I remember during my undergrad degree, I used to learn a lot of abstract notions, and I didn't know the purpose of them. But now that I discovered data science, for example, machine learning, I was able to see the real application of all these math notions that didn't make any sense for me back then. And when I see the power of all these notions, I find it amazing and really interesting. So that's why I really love data science, because it's applied mathematics to real life.
How did UMBC's data science program help to make you feel prepared for entering the workforce?
So through my studies at the UMBC Data Science program, I feel prepared to enter the workforce because I really was able to sharpen my technical skills. And I really think that within those 2 years program, I can really be competitive in the job market to really stand out among my peers.
So is there anything else that I haven't asked you that you feel would lend value to this conversation we're having about UMBC's data science program, like maybe to a prospective student who may be feeling on the fence about, should I do this? Should I not do this?
So I would say that data science is a big trend today. But if you really love this field, you really have to work hard for that. And there's nothing wrong with putting the hard work for 2 years, but at the end, it will worth it. So that's my advice.
I agree. I completely agree. Graduate school is not for the weak-minded, for the weak-hearted. You really have to be a go-getter. You have to be somebody who wants to really go out there and change your life and change other lives and through the work that you do. And it's not something that comes easy, and it shouldn't. Exactly. Because it's something that when you're complete with your program, you've earned it.
Exactly. I totally agree with that.
I want to thank you so much for being part of this conversation today. It's been just a pleasure being able to talk with you about data science and your experience here at UMBC.
Thank you. And I'm really excited to be able to talk about my experiences and my life at UMBC.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of UMBC's Mic'd Up podcast. If you'd like to learn more about the graduate programs at UMBC in data science, please visit us at datascience.umbc.edu.